Hi, I'm Steve Mesple from Wildwood Guitars, and today we are joined by an extraordinary person and guitar player, Joscho Stephan.
Hello.
I just say that properly?
Yeah, that's great.
Yes. Joscho, really, first of all, just a huge thank you for coming here, taking time out of your busy schedule to play some for us. It's just amazing to watch you. I've followed you on YouTube doing a lot of extraordinary stuff. So tell us about your journey with the guitar, how you started out playing the guitar, and maybe how that has taken you to what you're doing now today.
Yes, I started when I was 6 years old. You know, my father, who's doing the rhythm for me normally, he played back then like, let's say, Beatles music, Santana, stuff like this, popular music from the 60s and 70s. And I grew up with that kind of music, and I always wanted to be a drummer. But my father said, that's way too loud, son. So he just gave me a guitar because he said, I can play a few chords and I can show you a bit, and then we will see if you have talent and interest and you really want to do this, then we can go further. And so he showed me his whole repertoire in, let's say, 3 months or something like this, and said, okay, there is talent and I can't help him anymore, so what should I do? And he went to the, let's say, local music school, and I started to get some classical lessons, but it was never really my music, you know. I won some first prizes in some competitions playing Bach and things like this, but something was missing for me, and I think it was the improvisation part, and that starts when I was 10, 11 years old, that I get back to rock music, Santana, Gary Moore, Satriani, that stuff. And with 13, 14, I've heard George Benson, some of the jazz players, and just by accident my uncle had a record from Django Reinhardt. I was listening to the Minor Swing, you know, one of the best songs he ever played, you know, was the first song that I've ever heard. And I was really paralyzed, you know, shocked, because I think, what's that? You know, I've heard everything until then, rock music, jazz, classical, flamenco. But it was so, you know, everything that I loved from all the other styles I found was into that style that Django was playing. You know, he had the melody in it, the virtuosic thing, the rhythm, the idea. So it was so great. And from that day on, when I was 13, 14, I wanted to play Gypsy Swing. And there were no teachers for that music at the time, and I just had to figure out everything by myself. That means I first listened to Django, and you know, I tried to put the tempo down, slow it down, just with a cassette tape. You know, back to these times, it was really, really hard to get all that stuff that he was playing. And I've watched some videos, and yeah, I managed to play that style.
Apparently quite well.
Yes, thank you very much. And what I always tell people, you know, when I do the workshops, you know, I tell them, and I did a lot of mistakes, of course, because today it's maybe a bit easier. You have YouTube and a lot of lessons, online lessons, but back then there was nothing like this. Because of that reason, I did some mistakes, probably with the right hand, with the left hand, or just mixed it with some own ideas. But today I would say, that was a good thing, because I could create with these mistakes my own style.
Sure,
You know?
Sure. Well, for my generation, we had to take albums, records, and actually slow them down.
Yes.
You know, and there's famous stories about people using their toe to stop a record after it was going slow, or to slow it down. So, well, it's amazing what you've done. So that was 13 or 14 when you got into the gypsy. You say gypsy swing, gypsy jazz.
Normally, you know, I call it gypsy swing, because it's a music that was played in the 30s, and it is the swing era when Django started with his music, and of course it's a kind of jazz. But what I found out, gypsy swing is really what I feel if I hear something like this, you know, this. You know, I need this swing. You know, some people play it very hard, like. Something is missing there for me, you know, I need this swing, and that's the reason why I also call it gypsy swing.
Okay. And tell us about the guitars that you favor, and what makes this guitar work for you stylistically?
Yes, if we talk about the guitars, you know, we have here we have this DuPont D-hole guitar. You know, I always like the D-hole version, because I think it works better live. than the oval hole if you're using a pickup. I don't know why. I'm not a builder, but somebody told me that inside, some things are different than in the oval hole version. That means I have at home a Jürgen Volkert Gypsy Swing guitar. He's a builder from Germany. You can find him on my website. There's a link. And I use the D-hole version live because when I use the pickup and mix it with a microphone, I got a, let's say, good natural sound. It sounds never like an acoustic guitar if you have to, if you have to use a microphone or a pickup, but it sounds quite well on stage. That is what I prefer. That's the reason why I prefer the D-hole version on stage. In studio, I use more the oval hole version because it has a bit more pressure if you're playing directly to a microphone. And what are things that are different?
It's a flat top guitar, not an arch top, right?
Yes.
And tell us about the strings that are used on it. I to be honest, I encountered my first gypsy jazz guitar a few days ago when we got this, so that you could use it in your performances.
Yes, thank you very much.
No, I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but nylon strings or nylon. Tell me about the strings.
The strings.
Used.
Often people are asking me, you're using nylon strings, but these are steel strings. But these are silver, steel strings. That's the reason I think they are very close. The bass. The sound is very close to the nylon strings, but of course these are steel strings, and you can get a lot of good, sets of strings. I used the Dario. They have some really great gypsy jazz guitar strings, and normally you have, I think this is maybe Argentine will be on this.
Yes.
Savaras Argentine will be on this guitar, and I think this is 10, but normally I use the 11.
Okay.
But normally you use just these two sets, 10 or 11. There was once a builder, I don't remember the name, of strings. He had also a pair of 12s, but that felt really strange.
Heavy.
Yeah.
And how about the pick you use? Because part of the sound is a fairly aggressive touch for the lead style.
Yes.
And so I've never encountered this pick that you were showing me. Can you maybe tell our friends about it?
I think it's like 2 millimeters. It's a Wegen pick. Michel Wegen is a guy from the Netherlands. I played his picks since a few years. We met in Samoa at the big Django Reinhardt Festival. I was playing there 2002, and he asked me what pick I'm using. I'm not really sure. It was a Jim Dunlop or something like this, and he gave me just a few of these. I played a bigger one back then, a fat tone. Especially, he specially designed these things for Gypsy Swing. I think he was a designer, and just for fun, he designed these picks because he was always interested in Gypsy Swing, and there was nobody really doing something for that style, professional. And I think today, every of the great players, of the big players in that style, are using these. Yes. Okay. Veganpicks.com.
And what do they do? What do you like about them? It's just the thickness, the tone.
What I like is I think the tone is good. Maybe the tone from other Plectrum will be the same. I don't care really about this. What I like the most is, he has these holes inside, and the grip is really good because sometimes you lose. If you're sweating or something like this, you can lose your pick. I never lose this because that's really cool. He has the grip on all his picks, and of course the material is some kind of, let's say, plastic or something like this. That means easily you can get a new one.
Right.
Especially in this gypsy community and scene, there's a lot of mystery. Somebody you're playing with a stone or having something like this. But if you lose something like this, you lose the pick that you are able to play with, and that's what I really like. If they're really long lasting, these picks. But let's say after half year, if I want to have a new one because it's already gone a bit, I can take easily a new one, and it works the same. That's great about these picks.
Excellent. So how can our friends and customers find you? Surely you have a website.
Yes, of course. It's www.Joscho. It's Joscho, and
it's
Joscho. But the problem is because a lot of people are saying Joschko, but it's Joscho. Because the Germans, they are writing like this.
Right.
Joscho. minus,
dash.
and then it's then it's Stephan with PH. .de, but I think also the .com would work.
And Stephan is Stephan?
Yes.
Okay.
But even if you search on Google, you will find my website easily.
We found you easily. We just want people to find you. So how about your recordings? When was your first recording made?
My first
and how old
recording,
were you at that time?
I was 19 when I did the first recording for, I don't know if you ever heard of Peter Finger, German guitar player. You know, he has this record company, Acoustic Music Records, and you know, this is also an interesting story. You know, these are like the stories that you sometimes hear and you don't believe. You think, okay, it's a nice story to telling this on stage, but it never happened or something like this. But it really happened. You know, I was 18 years old and I thought, okay, I just will send the demo cassette to Peter Finger. Maybe he will do a record with me. And everybody was looking like, why should he do a record with me? Well, maybe he will. I'm not sure. You know, it was like I just was sending one cassette to one record company, and 3 days later Peter called me and said, hey man, should we do a record?
The Beatles had a lot more problems than that, right? Everybody else struggled for decades.
Yes. Yeah. And that was really funny because it really, you know, because he had the only record company that I could imagine that this music would fit in Germany, you know, on his record, because he did a lot of acoustic guitar stuff and think, okay, maybe he wants to do something. And we did the first one in 1999. I was 19 years then, and it was Swinging Strings. And what was really interesting, Peter just sent it the promotional CDs to all the magazines and stations, and we get a Guitar Player magazine CD of the month article, and that's makes the people in America more, how to say, were more interested who is Joscho Stephan, and so that I had the chance to play the first time in America in 2002, the Chet Atkins Festival in Nashville.
Excellent.
Yeah, and since that time I produced a lot of CDs with Peter. I think we already did 6 CDs together on a DVD. And I just founded now my own record label because, of course, you know, you sell the most of your CDs at the concert.
Sure.
We're playing a lot, but I have a good distribution also, so you can get also the newest one on iTunes, Amazon, and all that stuff.
Excellent. And who are some of the other guitar players you've performed, or the musicians you've played with that you have particularly enjoyed?
Yeah, of course, I think I will not say the biggest name, but maybe it's the biggest name that I played with. This is a man for the acoustic guitar scene. Since he was there, or since he came, a lot of things changed. Of course, Tommy Emmanuel was one of the
great player.
Yeah, he's a great person also, you know, because if you see what he reached, he's maybe the only guitar player with a solo guitar player who's going on stage with just one guitar, because he's also a great entertainer. But you know, he can play in Sweden, Germany, Poland, Italy, England, or everywhere else, and 500 or 1,000 people will come to his shows. You know, that is something what just Tommy Emmanuel reached. And you know, if you reach a level like this, a lot of people getting maybe a bit arrogant or something like this. But when I met Tommy Emmanuel first in 2002, you know, he was so friendly and just normal and really nice. And since that time, we played several concerts together. And we play in November together. I'm really happy that we have a concert again in Leverkusen. Leverkusener Jazztag in Germany is very famous. And it's the first time that I will meet Leo Kottke. He will be there. I never met him before.
Yeah,
so
great player.
So also. Tommy Emmanuel, of course, is one of the great players, and I've met guys from the fingerstyle scene like Richard Smith. He is a great performer. I met people from the Gypsy Swing scene, of course. You know, from America, people like John Johnson. We just played in Madison with Aaron. We played with Gonzalo Bergara, a great, wonderful Gypsy Swing guitar player, and I met a lot of these guys from all the scenes, from classical scene, from fingerstyle scene. And what I just can say really is what I like about all these guys, all the professionals, all the really good musicians, they were normally all nice and all on the ground, you know. They were never arrogant or something like this. I had much more problems if I ever met some hobby musicians and things like this, you know. These people, you know, they are here on top. They're normally really nice. And so these are the guitar players that I played with. And interesting story, I played in Berlin. I met James Carter. He is a fantastic saxophone player, or Paquito de Rivera. People like this. So I had the chance to play with a lot of wonderful people here in America and of course in Europe.
Well, we hope you will come back again.
Yeah,
I may just have to leave this guitar around here so that you can utilize it
great.
splendidly as you have done.
Yeah, that would be great.
And thank you so much. Yosho's going to be playing at the Rialto Theater in Loveland tomorrow night. So for those of you who have enjoyed this bit, we're going to film some of the performance there. Thank you again for sharing your valuable time with us.
Thank you.
Continued best musically, too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.